to our resumption of our monthly meetings of the Transit Riders Council. We do have a couple of members on the phone, Marisol and Chris Greif. Not that they're Marisol Greif and Chris Greif, but Marisol Halpern and Chris Greif are on the phone. And I'm sure you can't be making it today apparently, so we await anybody else who's going to join us, but we have a quorum, so we're going to begin. So may we have an approval of today's agenda? Thank you.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Great. How about the minutes? Any corrections, additions, or can we have an approval of them as well? Did everybody get minutes?
I think there was a sentence missing. Bill.
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly what it was, but Ellen can help me.
Okay.
Once we heard the breakdown of the staff, we made a comment on the record saying, it sounds like he's tied by these union rules or something to that effect. By not being able to redeploy.
Right.
As that an element is missing.
Yeah, I thought we covered that in some sense. Yeah, where it says
It just says where they
that they have the.
We made a summary comment,
Yeah.
tying it together,
Right.
saying, this is
Yeah.
You see the place Stuart's referring to?
The general place.
It's the last paragraph of that.
Oh, that's
All right.
section.
Great, thanks. Any other changes to the minutes? If not, can we have an approval of them as amended? Great. I'll go into the chair's report. Welcome to, as I said earlier, the September meeting. We took a break from our regular meeting in August, which we normally do, when we took a field trip to Brooklyn, Queens to inspect portions of the M subway line. This elevated track is being reconstructed to provide for additional demands that will be placed on the line during work on the L line's conductor tubes. On this trip, we saw how an elevated line can literally be woven into the fabric of the community, as residences along parts of the route are just feet from the viaduct. Actually, some were right up against the viaduct. And in some cases, parts of the residences actually lie below the viaduct. While it didn't directly affect the subways, the bombing in Chelsea did force closures of stations and entrances in the area of 23rd between 6th and 7th. And as I recall, service to 23rd and 28th on the one line were restored till something like 9 p.m. Trains bypassed several stations within the security area established by investigators, but once law enforcement officials cleared the area, Transit promptly restored service after establishing that the explosion had done no damage to its facilities. This incident re-emphasizes the responsibility we all have to be aware of our surroundings and to alert law enforcement of any suspicious conditions. If you see something, say something. Right. On August 4th, New York City Transit began a 90-day test of countdown clocks at 8 subway stations along the N, Q, and R lines, with a goal of installing the clocks in all B division stations. Prior to this test, countdown clocks were found on the B division only on L line stations, as this line is equipped with CBTC that makes real-time train information possible. The stations involved with the countdown clocks are between 23rd and Broadway and Lexington and 59th stops, and feature 2 countdown clocks at each station with enhanced LCD screens that have the added capability of exhibiting public service announcements and other content, including the weather. The weather is on these. They're very nice, actually. This is an advance over the LED digital displays currently in service on the A division. You can see an example of these units on the north end of the reception desk downstairs in 2 Broadway lobby. These are really nice clocks. And I watched a few trains one day, and they are very accurate as to the time of entry and the actual train that's entering. So that's wonderful.
I was going to tell you, I think.
During the test, I'm going to tell you. Here's how they do it. During the test, Transit will check for any issues with the system and seek to eliminate them. Possible issues include the accuracy of location data, performance of transit wireless infrastructure, performance of the LCD displays, physical and network security of system components, security of data transmission, and internal access and use of data. This new system relies on the existing wireless network in the stations and cloud computing. The wireless network receives information from Bluetooth receivers placed in each station that communicate with Bluetooth devices installed in the first and last car of each train that runs on the line. As the train enters and leaves a station, the system uses its arrival and departure time to estimate the time when the train will reach the next stop in the line. In addition, on August 4th, 3 contracts for a pilot program to install digital info screens on 131 buses were awarded. These digital screens will offer audio and visual route information and display next stop information, service advisories, and travel information, including transfers. They will also be capable of displaying there we go, that's how we're paying for this. Advertising targeted to the area the bus is moving through, creating a potential new stream of revenue. The digital information screens will be tested on 3 routes, the M15 SBS, the B46 SBS, and the S79 SBS. The MTA is seeking to identify a 4th vendor to provide another set of digital information screens to be tested. The digital information screen pilot will test and evaluate designs and technology for use on New York City Transit's fleet of diesel, hybrid, and Arctic buses. Each bus will be fitted with digital screen technology that can control 2 to 3 digital screens on the bus, depending on whether the vehicle is a standard 40-foot bus or an Arctic. The pilot project will help to develop specifications for digital screens that will be incorporated in bus orders for new vehicles for delivery starting in 2017. Each system includes a video processing unit and a content management system to allow remote programming. Beginning in 2017, new buses delivered to the MTA will also come with digital information screens, adding the screens to more than 2,000 vehicles over the next 5 years. The remaining buses in the fleet will be retrofitted with digital screen technology. Through this past summer, Transit has implemented Operation Track Sweep, a coordinated plan to reduce the amount of refuse on subway tracks and limit the track fires and train delays that result from this track. Why did I think it also has something to do with standing water and Zika?
Well, because they did it, because the governor did a
Big
press
press
conference.
conference there.
With Tom's little orange vest.
I thought that was part of it.
Yeah.
Last week, Transit began the second phase of the plan, which involves the deployment of 500 workers to remove trash and debris from the tracks at all of the system stations. These 500 workers are continuing this effort through the current week, working in outdoor and elevated stations during the day and underground stations at night. Next will come delivery of portable vacuum systems that can be used to clean station tracks from the platforms and easily move from station to station. These portable vacuum units are scheduled to arrive this fall. Finally, Transit will replace its existing pair of old and worn vacuum trains with 3 more powerful vacuum trains, beginning in 2017, with the final unit delivered in 2018. The expanded cleaning effort will also be supported with new refuse cars that will allow Transit to move trash out of stations more efficiently. Earlier this week, New York City Transit reopened the Saratoga Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue stations on the 3 line after a 5-month closure for rehabilitation work. These elevated stations received new windscreens, platform lighting, benches, trash receptacles, guardrails, and ADA tactile warning strips on the platforms, as well as new columns, platform rubbing boards, and mezzanine floors. Wow, mezzanines. The work also included painting both stations and reconfiguring their fare control areas to improve the flow of riders through them. Work will continue at these stations to complete their renovation, and starting October 3rd, the Sutter Avenue, Rutland Road, and Junius spelled wrong, but anyway, Junius Street stations will close for similar 5-month renovations. As was the case at Saratoga and Pennsylvania Avenues, riders will have access to shuttle buses to reach other stations on the 3 line. And let's hope that this work on Junius is the beginning of the new free transfer to the
Yeah.
Livonia L
Wouldn't you be told
station.
about this?
Well, it's in the next capital program,
Do
so.
you know what year it's?
During the L9 shutdown, It's gonna be without the direct
Oh.
thing, but it's gonna be allowed.
Oh,
It'll be a walking transfer, but after that it will be. We had hoped to have a new designed bus for council members to inspect this morning, but bus division staff were called away to meetings with vendors and unable to bring it to us. Next month, we will be able to see the 2 new buses before our meeting. Guess they'll be outside.
It'll be outside.
Could be inside, no, they won't.
They don't fit in the old.
We will provide further details as the meeting date approaches. I don't have a board report because the board meeting is next Monday. We are at an off schedule this time. So, we can move, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Oh, okay. We can move to old business prior to our guest arriving. Anybody have any?
Excuse me, Andrew, this is Frank. I have a question about the report.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. One thing I just want to ask regarding the 3 train construction, because I'm not far from here. They did a good job fixing the station up because I did it on the 3 train. But the only thing is they did, I found out something that we had to build too. They were supposed to reroute the B6 and the B84, not go under the Newlock Avenue. And it seems they must have got, DOT must have got wrong information. They thought Newlock Avenue of the 3 train was supposed to be closed. And I looked at them like, no, that's for like the last section of the line. They're supposed to be, they know they're supposed to be, they always do the easy ones first and the hardest one will be Newlock, because that's what comes out of the art. So, there's a little, there was a communication problem, I think, between FDA and DOT regarding the B6 and the 84, because now they're still going through under the threshold where you can get off and go upstairs to the 3 train or go across to connect to the B15 bus.
Huh. I don't even know when New Lots is going into construction.
Yeah, they won't do it, they won't close it because they need, I don't think they
They
would
need
close it.
access to
They need
it.
access to the yard, access to the
Yeah.
yard. I would think they would
They won't completely close
close
that
it.
one.
I think they would do that one side at a time. And that's,
Yeah.
that's 2-sided, so you can do,
Yeah, yeah.
you can do half of one side, half.
And I have another question, regarding the SPX,
Yeah.
do you have a date on that?
Which SBS?
46, you said to be 46.
46.
Oh, I don't have a date, no. I hope to learn a lot more. I hope to learn a lot more at meetings on Monday, because that's the day of committee meetings, and, I hope to learn about how we're doing with Second Avenue Phase 1, with some of the new car procurement issues, with getting all underground stations wired by the end of this year, by the speed up of the new fare payment system. So we're gonna hear a lot this week, I have a feeling, or next week, I should say.
One thing, one thing I have heard, and I haven't heard officially, is that the W will come back on November 6th.
Yeah, that's, when that happens, the queue will terminate at 57th Street temporarily until it goes up Second Avenue, yeah.
And I think that was reported this morning.
Ken?
Yeah, thanks. Before I ask my old business, one quick question on the chair's report. You talked about SBS routes, those are the ones with the fare collection on the sidewalk?
Yes.
What's the status
Well,
of
except
the
for
features of the fare collection devices for people that are blind, help them find an audible or tactile on it? Do we know anything about how to design them, to help blind people find them?
I don't know that, but I can find out next week.
No, because I know that you took note of the suggestions I made about
Yes,
what would help
I
people.
definitely did. I'll ask that, okay.
Thank you. My old business is, you've heard before, is problems with reformers on the platforms. We've had 2 additional negative experiences lately, one in August, where I was percussionist playing very loudly, asked him, please stop while I'm here. He continued to play, I got close to him, asked him, and he grabbed me and pushed me away.
What location was that?
It's always at Columbus Circle, southbound 8 trains. This is a particular place that I need to get on the train to get off to 42nd Street to help me find the stairway. That's their favorite place to play.
Sure.
Now, Bill showed me a memo from PCNC to the transit police, I guess it was about 2 years ago, and Bill asking about this and to follow up on it, I guess nothing's happened to that. And then I was also shown the official what are still the official guidelines that got created in the mid-90s, 1990s. And I prepared a suggested draft of updating the guidelines, and I submitted it about a year ago, and I don't know what happened to them, but there I talked about that the problem is not the performers performing, but it's where they're doing it. And on the platforms, it's usually not a good place, and I know I've heard Edith talk about too, that it can create blocking for people in wheelchairs, but it's a very serious problem for me, trying to hear the announcements and trying to hear the subway. The downtown A train is very quiet, more than once. It's come into the station and left without me even realizing it was there.
I think that the permits are not for being on the platforms, and the illegal ones I always see on 34th Street or on.
Yeah, very square.
I didn't hear the first part.
Well, no, they're allowed on the platforms, they're just not, there are certain places where they're not allowed, but not,
I always see people without the approved banners at 34th Street, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, all
So
of
Yeah, they're not,
They should not be there.
Yeah, they're
I'd
not
like to
music
see
under New
whether-
York.
Yeah, all the music under New York
They're
gets
not.
you is access to the specific, to the sort of the prime spots.
There's
Anybody
never-
can play.
And there's never a policeman around to go there and tell them to go.
I've never seen any documents that
I think
describe what places are
99% of
approved.
performers that are out there are not the ones with
Right.
music under New York banners.
Right,
That's right, they should not be there, but there's never a cop around to go and chase them.
right, but
I
there's
never-
not, there's
I'd
not
like to
a
see what
regulation,
documents.
which is what we've talked about, there's not a regulation that says they can't be on the platform.
Yeah, no, they're permitted,
Which is-
there's some
That's
specifics,
what,
there's some specific spots they can't be.
Where does
They
it
can't
say
be-
that? I've never seen that written.
No, they're,
it's not a blanket thing
What
of they
document
can't
is
be on the
that?
it's in
platform.
the,
It needs
it's
to
the
be
rules,
like-
the rules of
Right.
conduct essentially, essentially lays out, lays out where they can't be,
Did
you
they
know,
list the platform on that?
no.
That's what's
So
And there are
that's what we
certain, there are,
talked about, we
there are
want,
specified places they can't be, like.
Where is it specified?
It's near a service station booth and a couple of
Where
other.
does it say that? I've never seen.
In the
it
rules of
written.
conduct, it says, it tells in the rules of
Subway rules
conduct.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
say,
Where?
in the rules of conduct, but it doesn't say they can't play on the platform, so maybe
No,
that's what we
that's-
wanna, that's.
Right.
So I raised this.
That's what
Except
Yeah, yeah,
that,
Stuart
except that I've reached this with people, and the problem is rules of conduct are a New York State regulation, which is, to what I've been told, more difficult to change than the state law.
Then why do people have to compete for the privilege of being in places
So
if
they
anyone can go and set up?
So
where
they can get
want?
the prime, they do reserve prime spots, you know, the best spots for music.
So you would need New York State approval to change these?
You would need to go through the whole process of rulemaking in New York State.
And you couldn't do something by the board, it couldn't be a
No,
board action
No,
per se.
you would have to do it,
That's my question.
It's
That's what-
required.
yeah.
We had a resolution.
no,
Yeah, a
the
board
board
resolution.
can't do it, it has to be, you have to go through the rulemaking process of the state of New York, which is.
But if it starts with the board,
I
wouldn't
mean,
that
they
be?
could, yeah, I mean, they could start the process, but
Like a home
it's not
rule.
just
I'll bring it
the
up with
board can
A home
say,
rule.
Yeah,
say
well, there's
that,
several things that we can't, that even New York City DOT can't do, because you need state approval.
Well, the
But-
rules
but
of
as a-
conduct aren't state law. They're transit rules and regulations,
Well, they're- but
which
they're-
aren't,
From a state agency.
but they're state
but
regulation,
they're not enforceable.
they count as state regulations.
But you really can't do any summary enforcement, which it's not a state law.
It's a regulation, yeah, it
Rule of
counts as a
conduct.
regulation.
So it has to be in state law?
Gotta be in the state law. I mean, they could charge like obstruct pedestrian traffic,
Yeah.
stuff like that, but they,
Right.
you really can't charge.
Well, those are
with
civil, yeah, I mean, and those are like tab summonses are
So
Bill?
is it easier to
Exactly.
change the law?
Wait a minute,
than
wait a minute,
regulation?
Bill's had his hand
Yeah,
up.
Dan Meterman came to a meeting, well, I may have been PCAC, I'm not sure, with a complaint about 34th Street, and he was talking about 6th Avenue and also Herald Square, I think.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if anything was done about that, or if anything came of it.
I don't-
It was this kind of thing, as I recall, it was on this.
And he sat on the side.
Yeah. Nothing has changed.
But couldn't they issue a violation?
Well, like Bill said, a type summons, adjudication bureau, it's a civil summons.
Right.
You don't have to present ID for civil summons. You just give the cop a name and he writes it down.
And the police officers I talk to have no clue as to what's good and what's bad, the performance. So we need to do some educating.
We
of
ought
police
to,
officers.
yeah, maybe it's time to get the police guys
No,
back.
they don't, because they
Yeah.
haven't been, it's not useful. I think that it is this thing of, because it's not a regulation, it can't be enforced. I think you've just shed light on it, that unless it goes into law, then the police
Right.
won't be acting on
Why
it.
don't we ask the general counsel to assist us?
Yes, we can do that.
That's what it's a
The
safety
police
issue.
department is not gonna abide by the MTA general counsel.
What's that?
The police department is not
Yeah,
gonna abide by
right,
the
they're
MTA
gonna-
general counsel.
Well,
No, but raising
We
it up
can,
to Albany,
ask,
that's,
we can ask
the city
Or
owns,
city
the
law.
city owns the infrastructure.
we can ask the council and.
Different
see
agency,
what-
not gonna abide by their decision.
so a city law is what we need.
State law.
We need a state law. Okay. It's very,
Why don't we draft
Chris,
a
I have
letter?
a question.
I didn't hear that, Chris.
That's the question.
I have a question.
Chris, your phone is really bad sounding today.
I think it's this thing.
Or is it this thing?
Marisol wasn't coming.
Marisol didn't sound that
What's
bad.
your question?
She called back.
I'm here, I'm not on the cell, I'm on the
Oh, she sounds.
Oh, yeah,
she
she's
sounds
very
pretty good.
clear.
She sounds
So
pretty
maybe that's the difference as a cell versus landline.
Chris, what's the question? Earth to Chris. Maybe he's calling back. Can we draft a letter
I'm
to
here.
a state elected official? We can select several of them that we know
Yeah.
and ask what can be done about this problem.
Thank you.
Can I second that?
Can he say?
Didn't need one, but thanks.
Why don't we write to the chair of the transportation?
Probably. Well, what in the assembly that's the person, the committee with jurisdiction over MTA is changing. He's retiring, and then the Senate is not particularly knowledgeable about New York City Transit. So, yeah, nor is the ranking member.
But you want to start with a board resolution first, or you want to put first?
Well, we can certainly write to some.
Can you find
Yeah.
the statute that says that, that requires that this is state law and it can't be changed without state approval?
Yeah, I don't know if I can find a statute. I was told that by some folks.
I'll
in
ask
legal.
Jerry Page.
I was told that by people in legal, but that's what, it's a.
I'm gonna see him on
state
Monday, so
regulation.
I'll ask. We gotta do something, it's a,
But so the regulations are enforced
By civil summons.
by civil, so that's not really making
Would you say
that much
maybe-
progress. Because they can say anybody's.
When they adjudicate a civil summons, they can attach your property. When you go to sell something, they can attach that, but most of these performers don't own anything.
Right. So the regulation, it's
Right,
helpful
right,
as a law.
it just is like, you know, I mean, it's like a fine for leaving your trash cans out too long,
That's all it is.
something like that.
I'm particularly interested that Ken couldn't find a police officer at Columbus Circle, considering that's Transit District 1, I mean.
Yeah.
When you're all outside the fit.
Yeah, I guess. Any other,
Ellen did reminded me of something. This Port Authority proposal to build a new bus terminal on the west side, I mean, I attended the annual meeting of the New Jersey.
now we're in new business, yes?
Yeah.
Oh.
The New Jersey Association of Railroad Passengers this past Saturday, and the president of the organization had a PowerPoint on the number 7 extension, but they also talked about, there was a woman who came from one of the community board 5 or 4 to talk about the Port Authority, and there was a press release that was issued, and it says like it has all of the approvals of everybody, but they still have to go and get some environmental reviews and stuff like that, which they say they will do. But it just seems that they do build something new, it's going to be further west, away from all of the existing public transportation, so it doesn't, and we talked about this yesterday. Orrin, who is my vice chair, and myself are part of a group of what they call rail advocates, who meet on a quarterly basis with NJ Transit's interim executive director and the top staff. The meeting was held in Newark, and we talked about this because they had, actually today is the day they're supposed to release the designs. They let them see it, but the designs, proposals for the thing are to be released today. And so I asked, well, where? And they expect they're gonna be like 30,000 or 300,000 people going. I mean, it's like astronomical numbers of people that are gonna be going at bus into the new terminal. And I said, where are you gonna put all these buses? The bus lanes are already at 115% capacity.
While the Meadowlands rail
Yeah.
facility lies unused.
Yes, and so of course we're pushing again for the number 7 extension. And I will talk about this on Monday morning again with the Metro Rail Committee, that they need to get involved in it because this is something that's key.
Yeah, there was there actually were news reports earlier that there's been an agreement among legislators and some of the state legislators, I think, in the area and the Port Authority, that they would go back and revisit designs. And apparently they're going to keep the designs that were done, and use them as options, but also develop new ones. So I don't know how that will shake out, but that was earlier this week.
Is it supposed to replace Port Authority or
Yes.
augment?
Yes.
Replace.
Oh
Replace,
my
yeah.
God.
And what's the exact location that's proposed?
It hasn't been determined.
9th to 10th Avenue.
Yeah.
Where?
Thousands of people going to be
Close to the
displaced,
station that
businesses.
Yeah, right.
The middle of nowhere?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
and displacing thousands of people.
Yeah, I
And
mean, there's gonna be
businesses.
lawsuit. I don't think this is happening
Yeah,
anytime
it says they expect that today 232,000 people are using the bus terminal each day, and by the year 2040, we should all live so long, 337,000 are going to use the bus terminal. And part of the, there's five concepts, there's a website for it, www.PABT for Port Authority, BT, bus terminal competition, one word, .com. It's supposed to be available now, we'll see what happens.
Right. Well,
If it isn't a Rolling Stones concert or a football game, that's Meadowlands Rail Facility, which has 6 or 7 terminal tracks, never gets used.
Wow.
It could be a shuttle service to Penn Station or Secaucus at a minimum. It's ridiculous. Bring all these vehicles, all those little jitneys that go to
Yeah, exactly.
West New York, and
So that's where the fight is going to be about.
all right. Any other items to do? Ms. Williams, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Thanks for attending.
Oh, thank you for the welcome. This is my first time, so I'm just here to find out what this committee is about. And mostly my interest in transit lies in electrification of transport, and I'm curious to know when we will see electric buses finally in New York City. But maybe that's a discussion.
They have, I know they have tested electrics. I think they ran an electric on the M42 for a period of time. I don't know whether they got good results out of that or not.
It was a very smooth start. Remember
How
that?
long, how recently was that?
It's been about a year and a half ago, something like that.
More.
2013, I think, when they
Yeah.
tried the BYD bus.
Yeah, but I don't know what results they got out of that, and how transit feels about their ability to operate those. They haven't,
Ask.
yeah.
We can ask to get an update.
That would be great. I've looked online. I haven't seen anything published, officially. I've just seen some newspaper articles that said that the trial was a success, but then it was just quiet afterwards. And I'm seeing reports every day, other large cities buying,
And
New
they've
fleets
already
of
done
buses
some
that are
big
electric.
purchases of bus fleet.
yeah, they've purchased for the
And they're
next
not
5
electric.
years and they're not electric.
Right,
As a preliminary, the Times this morning reported they're going to run an electric car race out of the terminal in a protected environment.
I saw
They're
that.
going to run a road race. It's going to be very quiet. It's not going to sound like it is.
E1.
Well, and having a guest to
40
talk
cars.
about the long view of buses and sort of how they're seeing future purchases.
We can do that.
Is that
Or the rationale behind the Just announced purchase, like why?
Right,
why
right.
Electric bus.
how
buses
they made the
chosen?
decision of one
Yeah.
versus the other, that's,
Well, I mean, transit and the MTA as a whole tends to be pretty risk averse. So they
but then they
tend,
could,
they tend not to be the first adopters of new
That's true.
technologies.
but they could talk about what those
Yeah,
concerns
yeah.
are, so.
Suggestion.
Deborah?
We're supposed to have 2 of the new model buses out here next month.
Yeah.
Perhaps you want somebody from DOB to come and discuss
Yeah,
what's upcoming in terms of.
we could do
Oh,
that
that's
in
a-
conjunction
yeah,
with that.
combine it.
Yeah.
The only thing we have to make sure, just because there's a lot of bus concerns, we just have to make sure we circumscribe the topics to be, discussed. And, if we talk about bus design, we don't want to talk about bus dispatching at the same.
No, we have
Same.
somebody from, like the guy who heads up the new bus.
Right,
we have
we just need to be very clear
I
that this person is not going to talk
I
about
understand.
when the M103 arrives on
I'm with you, Bill.
that side. If you get my drift.
We can talk about that later if you want to schedule that. I think that might be a good time.
Yeah, so we should be learning some very interesting things this week, next week at the meetings, and we'll keep everybody up to date on that. Whether Second Avenue Phase 1 will open on time,
Yeah.
that's the key thing.
The press said this morning they're starting up the electric.
Yeah,
Testing.
that was a few days ago.
In September, or
That was harder.
it started, yeah, so this month,
Yeah,
oh, that's good.
Does that mean the entire third rail is in place and it's tested?
it's in place. Third rail's in place.
Is it
Yeah.
usable?
I hope it's usable.
Yeah.
at
How
this-
many miles do they have to run without failure before they're allowed to be?
Well, these wouldn't be rolling stock. This would be the.
No, but I thought it sort of worked the same, that they have to do this.
I'm not sure they have to
Make sure
run
signaling is working.
a certain number of, but I'm not familiar with their acceptance procedures. Could be.
Can you get them to talk a little bit about what their acceptance, so that then
Yeah.
there's a framework of,
There's also an issue that I'm going to have to bring up, which has been brought up several times in the last few weeks, which is cars reported with bad air or no air conditioning. Obviously, this was one of the hottest summers, but there are some repeat calls about cars failing. And the question is whether these cars, when the train reaches its terminal, is the car removed, which would mean that the train would be out of service and thus not available for service, or does it get serviced on its next scheduled, routine maintenance? And we need to find that out. Obviously, we want these cars repaired, but do we want to take them out of rush hour service, for instance, once they're reported? I think you have to weigh that. So I'm going to find out what the actual idea is when they take these bad AC out of service. And there's been an awful lot of R62